Okay, guys, so this video right here, I'm basically talking about how at this part actually I heard how like he was asking me about my family. So I hope that this is the final part. I believe it is. Like we're on part 7, 8, or 9 right now. This should be like 7, 8, 7 or 8, maybe 9. I don't know. But anyways, I'm not putting it at part as parts anymore. This is just going to be titled something different. But basically, at this part, I noticed that he was asking me about my family because he said he reached out to my family and they was asking how my son was doing. This is the CPS investigator, Alex Schmidt, and sorry, I'm getting kind of tired, but anyways, he was saying something like, "How was my family?" He asked how my sisters, and they said they tried to come by, and there was a day I had kicked by the door, and I had said no, because they said, is she home? Is Nene home? And blah, blah, blah. And then I was tired of knocking on the door randomly but they were ignoring my text messages and my calls though. Then they wanted to just randomly show up one day when I stopped talking to them. I said, well, fine, F it. Y'all want to play that game? You doing that same stuff that used to happen back when we all lived together in the house before I moved out after grandma died, and then my mom died like a week or two later. And so that was kind of strange, but because she died the exact same way my grandmother died, which was also strange. But anyways, he said something. He asked me, and anyways, I basically told him how we weren't ever close, and he looked like he sounded like he was shocked. And then there was something that stood out to me on here where I said that they put my grandmother on hospice, but she wasn't dying. And really quick, I did want to throw in there how I know a realtor in Oklahoma, Joanne Sims, had something to do with my uncle's death, but we won't. That's besides the point right now. She's now with a whole different man, and then there's some crazy stuff that's being talked about, like somehow the toxicology, not the toxicology, the what do you call that report? The when they examine the body, I forgot. It's like the name is kind of right there, but I can't I can't put the full words together about what's the name of it. Um, like when they do the medical examination. Oh well, we'll talk about that some other time. You guys know what I'm saying, and then later on I'll remember it right when I get off of here. But anyways, when they did that report, it came back with my cousin's name, basically my not my nephew, my uncle's son and his son's name on it. And they said he went to jail. And I find that kind of strange that he went to jail. Nobody's hearing from him. Plus, he wasn't in his right mind that I know him as the old Gregory that he used to be when I last saw him. And his mom practices witchcraft. And they tried to do some stuff on me. But I won't go into that story. But it was something that happened before I got on the road when I left her house. And then that's when all of a sudden some cop followed me on the highway and said he just stopped me to check to make sure everything was all right. And that was it. And then from that day forward, all of a sudden, constantly cops was effing with me. There's a pattern I'm starting to notice with these people in the military, because she was in the military for 20 years. I think she retired in the military. These people in the military, some of them are the ones being used to gang stalk you. And those of you who know about energy weapons, some of them are being they know people who know others that are higher ups in the military who have access to those things. So don't think that you're crazy. And that's my son. He's moving around in his car seat in the back because he's sleeping. But and his cup fell on the floor. So I kind of, But anyways, people. And I'm saying that because another psychic investigator said something about that, about something on a reading she did within the last 2 to 10 days, and it was something about somebody having energy weapons. And I believe that because I noticed that I've been lately, even since 2022, after my mom died, it was always government, it was always military people around me. And there's even a video I have of a woman, a military woman, showing up out the blue, being in the neighborhood. Is some civilian people that are, how they part-time civilian, part-time in the military, like the reserves. Yeah, those are the people too that you might want to, because they have top secret stuff they're working on. They're not going to tell even their wife or their husband what they're doing. And you heard that in the background. So because my stepdad was in the Navy. He used to be working on nuclear bombs, but something happened where he got kicked out, and he has access. He knows some people. Let's just put it that way. Like they said, the FBI. He used to always say how the FBI is watching him, and I noticed also how people out the blue would tell me how they know that they're being watched, and those were the people that were my gang stalker, or people that were gang stalking me, and I'm pretty sure as well as other people they were gang stalked, and they also this man, which aka my stepdad from the Navy, and this now there's a Navy dude over here who is harassing me, who always walking outside with his dog, and sometimes his hat looking like a Scottishman, but then sometimes he just dresses normal and he put his hair back in a ponytail. It's almost like he's two different people, but he's the same guy. He's the same vessel, but it's like he's two different personalities depending on how he's dressed. So and he said something about him being in the Navy and he gets 100%. And the other dude from the Army said the same thing. He gets 100%. I guess they pay these people to freaking gang stalk us civilians that have the powers, the knowledge, and I said the powers because there's some of us in this world that have spiritual gifts that those people who have a lot of money don't have, and they want it, and they like bully us because of it. That they make these movies sort of like these Marvel movies and all that for a reason. It's not just fairy tale. It's the fairy tale for the movie for entertainment purposes, but they get the ideas from real life scenarios happening that people don't know about. And just to give you an idea, if you look at stuff like Ripley's Believe It or Not, I haven't watched that in years, but that's one of the shows I remember. It's something like what I'm about to say being on, like, you can probably find it on YouTube, the dude who can like heat up, he can make a light bulb light up with his electricity from his body or something like that, and even make a hot plate really hot. There's people in this world that can do different things and have different like gifts or abilities, I should say, that they can do that not everybody can do, and those people are being closely watched because it's like we're a weapon ourselves. But anyways, what I was trying to talk about in here in this recording here is how my grandmother was not dying. It's almost like she was being helped to die. And I noticed after she was put in this program, which was called Hospice, when she wasn't dying, she had no diagnosis of anything. They just did it to act like they did it to say, okay, well, if we put her on hospice, we can give her all the medications she needs. So what they did technically was basically kill her. And I apologize for saying they unalived her through a process of giving her medications, and I don't know if they finally gave them either an overdose of morphine or overdose of fentanyl. But my auntie, the Caucasian auntie that's in Oklahoma, she was the one who was gang stalking me through email, telling me that, oh, your family's being investigated for morphine overdoses because other people in the family have died from that, such as my grandmother's mother. And it was talked about amongst the family. That's why people sometimes say what goes on in this house stays in this house. Well, MF, y'all been trying to kill me, so hell no, it ain't staying in the house. After all that stuff I done found out, hell to the MF and all. I don't care what you think and what you do. So that's the reason, because other people need to know to be careful, because some of your own relatives are trying to plan for your unaliving, but you're not paying attention to it because you love them so much, and because of the love you have for them, you don't think they'll be willing to do something to you that you won't do to them. Yes, they will. Some people are jealous of you and they hide it, and it is sometimes it's be your own blood, your own relative. And especially somebody that's your step brother, they can smile in your face and act like they cool with you, but you gotta, if you don't have discernment, you may not see the signs. You may overlook the signs. That's how sometimes mom and dads be getting killed from their kids, and kids be getting killed from their moms and dads. They don't pay attention to the signs because they know that this is supposed to be somebody that loved me, that raised me, but sometimes they never really liked you. And if you look back over your life, you'll see how the little things, the different ways they treated you different or mistreated you, period, if you don't have anything to compare it against. But I'm going to play this really quick. Let me see. I'm already at 9 minutes. Hold on.
Right. Ourselves in the middle because, except for like moms, they're going to put their children first. But other than that, we don't really do,
but we know what is really going on. So I'm like, I seen something on YouTube today, like that other firstborn daughters go through, where the family gets to make the mess and you're responsible for cleaning up their mess. It's been one of those kind of childhoods for me.
Yeah, usually
I was like the Cinderella.
Early age, you're older.
and I wanted us to be close, but it's not the same since my mom and grandmother has passed away.
How long has that been?
Since 2000, like my grandmother passed away on February 13th, 2022, and they said my mom did on the 7th of April of 2022, and they both mysteriously died from the same way and the same drug somehow, and that's part of the reason. I don't know. It might have been. Yeah, it was supposed to be legal, but they had orchestrated where some nurse got to come there. They randomly put my grandmother on what do they call that again? When someone's dying on hospice. She wasn't dying though, and they did it. But yeah, I already.
And speaking of that, on the earlier video on this channel, there's a video I'm talking about at that hospital, how there was a man there that day where my grandma was originally supposed to come there, but they had a man in the office standing behind a woman at the, I don't know if it was a detective, but it's funny because something happened later on after that, I remember. But I'll talk about that some other time, about how that man was talking to me and he wasn't at my apartment, or he wasn't in the same unit as I was in, but I was getting information. I guess they thought I was going to go so crazy that they were going to win, and I would forget what happened and not ever tell anybody what happened to me. But that is probably what they didn't expect that's happening. But anyways, that day my grandmother was put on hospice. No, shortly after my grandma was put on hospice randomly, she was supposed to have another upcoming appointment. But then on that day, and my mom rushed us out of the house that day. Then the hospital people said, "Oh no, you're not on the list, but we can schedule you." Or I think she wasn't supposed to be there. It was supposed to be either the upcoming, it was like in 2 days from that day, or they scheduled it for a Monday, and she died before that. Shortly before that appointment. It's like so I'm not explaining it very well. I want to be quick. So basically there's some things that they did. The timing is what exposed them to me. That is some things that I saw, that I noticed, that I picked up on, that I noticed, like the timing exposed how and why certain things happen, and that it was an orchestration and not by happenstance. It wasn't just a natural disaster, so to speak. But anyways, I'm going to leave it right here, and hopefully you guys can get what I'm trying to say in here about how the government orchestrates stuff and they use people in the military to do it, but because they just look like regular human beings, some people don't put two and two together. Just because you see someone in a uniform doesn't mean they're upright or they're doing a legitimate thing. Just the same thing with an officer in a uniform. And of course, not every officer or person in the military is like a crooked person, but there's some people that money sound and look a lot better than them doing the right thing. So when they're bribed and they're given orders, they have to abide by those things. That's why I'm grateful that I did not wind up being able to get into the Air Force like I was going to do and be a fighter pilot, because then I would be the property of the military and I will have to carry out certain orders that they give me for that pay. So if I want to fulfill my duties and do, like, complete the job for the time that I signed the contract. That's why some people get out of the military, be discharged, dishonorable discharge, that's what it's called, because I think they don't want to follow through. And that's what happened with my uncle. He met this woman in the military, and I'm gonna just say she was a cold piece. Let me just leave it right there. All right, y'all, thank you.